Picture this for a second. You're stepping into a dimly lit, quiet archive, completely surrounded by the rich scent of old parchment and leather. And resting on a table right in front of you is a 600-year-old cold case. It's a beautiful, meticulously crafted book that holds a secret so profound, it has literally baffled the greatest minds in history. We are looking at the Voynich Manuscript, history's absolutely unbreakable enigma.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this isn't just some dusty historical curiosity. Today, this actual physical manuscript sits securely locked away in the Rare Books Library at Yale University. It is a profound mystery that has totally stumped world-class cryptographers, master codebreakers, and genius linguists. We are talking about an artifact that survived the rise and fall of entire empires, yet to this day, it refuses to give up even a single word of its true meaning.
So, setting the stage with Section 1, the world's most mysterious book, an unsolved cold case. To really grasp this mystery, we have to look at its incredible survival. We've got this 240-page codex written entirely on animal skin vellum in a completely unknown, unique alphabet. It was radiocarbon dated, get this, to somewhere between 1404 and 1438, likely originating in Central Europe or Northern Italy. And then it just vanishes. It completely disappears into the shadows of history until 1666, when a man named Johannes Marcus Marci actually sends it off to Rome, hoping the scholars there can decipher it. Well, they failed. It ended up sitting hidden in a Jesuit collection for centuries, untouched, until 1912, when a Polish antiquarian book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich finally rediscovered it. Which brings us to Section 2, Alien Plants and Star Maps, the Bizarre Clues. The shadowy history of who owned it is honestly nothing compared to what is actually drawn on its pages. The visual contents of this book are truly surreal, and they provide the only real, tantalizing clues we have about what on earth this might be. The manuscript is highly structured into these distinct thematic sections. First up, there's this massive herbal section featuring 113 totally unidentifiable, bizarre plant species. Then you flip to an astronomical section filled with these complex radiating star charts and strange zodiac symbols. There's also a cosmological section featuring an elaborate fold-out showing islands connected by causeways. And finally, there's a dense text section that looks exactly like medieval recipes, marked all the way down the margins by these tiny star-shaped bullets. But here's the really weird part. If you look closely at those botanical illustrations, something is just deeply wrong. Expert botanists literally cannot identify these plants anywhere in nature. As one researcher pointed out, roots of one genus seem to just sprout the leaves and flowers of entirely different species. It's like a giant puzzle. It almost feels like a medieval illustrator was drawing these fanciful composites straight out of a fever dream, you know? Like they were attempting to represent mythical, magical flora, or maybe deliberately hiding the true identities of real-world medicinal plants. This leads us right into Section 3, the linguistic paradox. Is it a language or a code? And this brilliantly illustrates the core of the whole mystery. The script itself is just so isolated and strange that researchers simply gave up and called it Voynichese. It flows beautifully left to right without a single crossed-out mistake anywhere, which heavily implies these scribes were writing something they were already deeply familiar with. But look at the tangible, visual structure of the words. The text seems to be built out of a rigid kind of word grammar, composed of highly structured prefixes, stems, and suffixes. Certain shapes and characters group together so tightly and so repeatedly over and over again, in a way that feels incredibly artificial and mechanical. So this creates a massive linguistic paradox, and it has completely divided and frustrated experts for decades. On one hand, the text follows something called Zipf's law. Basically, this means the most common word appears twice as often as the second most common word, which is an exact mathematical footprint of natural spoken human languages. So it really looks like a real language. But on the other hand, the character entropy is unbelievably low, meaning the letter combinations are extremely predictable and rigid, way more than any natural language would ever be. It acts exactly like a code. Now let's look at Section 4, the 5 secret scribes, a community effort. See, for a long time, people assumed this paradoxical text was either the brilliant, unbreakable cipher of an isolated mad genius, or just a meaningless hoax scribbled by a single con artist to scam a wealthy emperor. But recently, a massive paleographic breakthrough absolutely shattered those assumptions. Through painstaking digital paleography, which is the study of historical handwriting, Dr. Lisa Fagan Davis made a truly startling discovery. By zooming in and looking at microscopic variations in the loops and crossbars of the ink, she definitively proved that this manuscript was written by exactly 5 distinct scribes. Honestly, this changes absolutely everything. These 5 scribes weren't just working independently in their own separate sections. No, their handwriting is mixed up across loose, unfolded sheets of parchment before the book was even bound together. This proves the manuscript was compiled over a long period by a small, dedicated workshop or community. 5 different people were completely fluent in this exact same bizarre cryptographic system. I mean, think about what that actually means. This wasn't some solitary madman. This was a coordinated, secret workshop operating right under history's nose. Which brings us to the next big twist in Section 5, the dice and cards cipher. Introducing the Naibbe theory. So, how exactly did a workshop of 5 scribes manage to create something that mathematically looks like a real language, but repeats mechanically like a code? Well, enter a fascinating 2025 hypothesis by science journalist Michael Greshko. This might just be one of the most compelling explanations yet. Greshko proposed the Naibbe Cipher, which is actually named after a popular Italian card game from 1377. His theory suggests that the Voynich text is just a highly verbose substitute cipher. By using everyday objects that were super common in early 15th century Europe, specifically some dice and a 78-card deck, a scribe could manually introduce controlled randomness into a standard Latin text, generating the exact weirdness of Voynichese. Let's actually walk through exactly how a medieval encipherer might have done this by hand, step by step. Step 1, you take your secret plain Latin message and you just strip away all the normal spaces and punctuation. It's just one long block of letters. Step 2, you roll a pair of dice to chop that continuous text back up into completely new, random tiny chunks of 1 or 2 letters. And step 3, you draw a card from your deck, and that card tells you exactly which of 6 different substitution tables you have to use to turn those tiny chunks into the long, repetitive Voynichese glyphs. So the crucial point is that this brilliant cipher theory perfectly solves that massive linguistic paradox we explored earlier. If Greshko is right, Voynichese isn't a language at all. It's literally just a mechanical system for generating reusable word forms. Because it's secretly encoding real Latin underneath, it completely maintains the natural word frequencies of Zipf's law. But because it relies on those rigid, mechanical substitution tables based on drawing cards, it creates those artificial low-entropy repetitions that have confused and frustrated codebreakers for a century. It's kind of genius. Let's bring it all together in Section 6, an enduring medieval puzzle. What does it actually hide? This recent breakthrough brings us closer than we've ever been to finally understanding the actual mechanics of the book. I mean, we can almost clearly envision these scribes in their 15th century workshop, rolling dice, drawing cards, and carefully translating their hidden knowledge into this unbreakable format. But here is the catch. While we now have a highly plausible, historically accurate theory for how it was written, the underlying plaintext, the actual message they were trying so desperately to protect, is still entirely unknown. The cipher model beautifully explains the structure, sure, but without the original key or those exact substitution tables, the words remain completely silent. Which leaves us right where we started, staring back at those beautiful, strange vellum pages, asking the ultimate question. What on earth were 5 medieval scribes so determined to hide? Is this some sort of forbidden medical manual filled with composite, secret medicinal plants? Is it an underground alchemical guide mapped out in the stars? Or is it simply history's most elaborate, unsolvable puzzle? The pages are still turning, and the true meaning of the Voynich manuscript remains, for now, waiting quietly in the dark.